The Mediterranean sun cast golden ribbons across the azure waters as Elena Martinez stepped onto a private yacht that would take her and her new husband to the Grand Palazzo Azzurro, the most exclusive resort on the Italian coast. Her dark hair whipped in the sea breeze, and she couldn't stop smiling despite the nervous flutter in her stomach. Just 48 hours ago, she walked down the aisle toward Marcus Webb, the man she'd dated for 3 years, the man who'd promised her forever. The resort materialized like something from a dream, white marble columns, cascading bougainvillea, and terraces that seemed to float above the cliffs. Staff in crisp white uniforms greeted them with champagne and rose petals. Elena's breath caught as she took in the opulence. This was beyond anything she'd imagined for their honeymoon. "Welcome to the Grand Palazzo Azzurro," the concierge said with a practiced smile. "We hope your stay will be unforgettable." Marcus barely looked up from his phone as they were led to their suite. Elena tried not to let it bother her. He'd been distracted since the wedding, claiming work stress, promising he'd relax once they settled in. She wanted to believe him. Their suite was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the sea, a king-size bed draped in silk, and a marble bathroom larger than her childhood bedroom. Elena unpacked while Marcus made phone calls in Italian, a language she didn't know he spoke. Another surprise. How many more secrets did her husband have? That first evening, they dined on the terrace under strings of lights that looked like captured stars. Marcus ordered for both of them in perfect Italian. And for a moment, Elena felt the romance she'd been craving. He reached across the table, took her hand, and smiled, that devastating smile that had made her fall for him in the first place. "To us," he said, raising his glass. "To us," she echoed, hoping this was the beginning of something beautiful. But the next morning, everything changed. Elena woke to an empty bed. Marcus's side was cold, untouched. She checked her phone. 6:30 in the morning. Where could he be? She wrapped herself in the hotel robe and padded through the suite, calling his name. Nothing. His phone sat on the nightstand, which was strange. Marcus never went anywhere without his phone. She decided to search for him. Maybe he'd gone for an early swim or breakfast. The resort was quiet at this hour, most guests still sleeping off the previous night's indulgences. Elena wandered through corridors lined with Renaissance paintings and fresh flowers, past the closed spa and the empty poolside cabanas. Then she heard it, a woman's laugh, breathy and intimate, coming from one of the private poolside bungalows. Elena's heart clenched. She told herself it was nothing, that she was being paranoid, but her feet carried her forward anyway. The bungalow's curtains weren't fully closed. Through the gap, Elena saw them. Marcus, her husband of 2 days, pressed against a blonde woman in a bikini, his hands tangled in her hair, kissing her like he'd never kiss Elena. The woman arched against him, whispering something that made him laugh, that same laugh he'd used last night when he toasted their marriage. Elena's world tilted. The ground beneath her feet felt suddenly unstable, as though the earth might open and swallow her whole. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her hand flew to her mouth to stifle the sob threatening to escape. She needed to leave. Now, before they saw her, before she completely shattered. Elena ran. She didn't know where she was going. She just knew she had to get away. Away from Marcus, from that woman, from the honeymoon suite that now felt like a mausoleum for her dead marriage. Tears blurred her vision as she stumbled through the resort gardens, past perfectly manicured hedges and marble fountains. She found herself on a secluded path that wound away from the main buildings, toward what looked like a private section of property. Her chest heaved with sobs she could no longer contain. How could he marry her, promise her everything, and then do this? On their honeymoon, no less? Elena collapsed onto a stone bench hidden among jasmine vines, burying her face in her hands. The morning sun felt too bright, too cheerful for this moment. Everything hurt. Her chest, her throat, her eyes. But most of all, her heart felt like it had been torn from her chest and stomped into dust. "Are you all right?" The voice was deep, accented, concerned. Elena's head snapped up. Through her tears, she saw a man standing a few feet away, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing an impeccably tailored suit despite the early hour. His dark hair was styled back from a face that could have been carved from marble. Strong jaw, sharp cheekbones, and eyes so intensely dark they seemed to see straight through her. "I'm fine," Elena lied, quickly wiping her face. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to trespass." "I'll go." "You're not trespassing." He moved closer, pulling a handkerchief from his pocket, an actual cloth handkerchief, something Elena thought only existed in old movies. He offered it to her. This is still part of the resort, though few guests find this particular garden. Elena took the handkerchief, noting the monogram embroidered in the corner. "Devi, thank you." He sat on the bench beside her, maintaining a respectful distance. "I'm Dante Valeni." The name meant nothing to Elena, though something the way he said it suggested it should. "Elena, it's a pleasure to meet you, Elena, though I wish it were under happier circumstances." His eyes searched her face with an intensity that should have been uncomfortable, but somehow wasn't. "May I ask what brings you to tears in my garden at dawn?" "Your garden?" A slight smile touched his lips. "I own the Grand Palazzo Azzurro, among other things." Elena's eyes widened. She was sitting with the owner of this massive resort, probably looking like a complete mess with her tear-stained face and hotel robe. "I'm so sorry, I didn't know. Please." He held up a hand. "You have nothing to apologize for. But perhaps you might tell me why one of my guests is crying instead of enjoying her stay." Something about his presence, calm, solid, genuinely concerned, made Elena want to talk. Maybe it was because he was a stranger. Maybe it was because she was so far from home with no one else to turn to. Or maybe it was the way he looked at her, like she mattered, like her pain was important. "I'm on my honeymoon," she said, the words bitter on her tongue. "I got married 2 days ago. This morning, I found my husband with another woman." Dante's expression darkened, something dangerous flashing his eyes. "Here? At my hotel?" Elena nodded miserably. "In one of the poolside bungalows." "Which one?" "I don't know the number. I just ran." Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. "I'm so stupid. I should have known." He was distracted during the wedding, on his phone constantly, speaking Italian when he never told me he knew Italian. I ignored all the signs because I wanted to believe. Her voice broke. Dante's jaw tightened. He pulled out his phone and made a call, speaking rapid Italian. Elena caught only a few words, but his tone was sharp, commanding. When he finished, he turned back to her. "I've had security check the bungalows. They found your husband with a woman named Isabel Moreau. She's a regular guest here." He paused, studying her reaction. "I've had them both escorted to separate rooms. They've been informed that any further contact will result in immediate removal from the property." Elena stared at him. "You did that? Why?" "Because no one should be treated this way. Especially not at my hotel, and especially not on their honeymoon." His voice was firm, but his eyes were gentle. "What he did is unconscionable." "Thank you," Elena whispered. "I don't know what to do now. I don't even know where to begin." Dante stood, offering his hand. "Come, let me show you something." Elena hesitated for only a moment before taking his hand. His grip was warm, strong, steadying. He led her further into the garden, through an archway covered in climbing roses, to a private terrace overlooking the sea. The view was breathtaking, the sun rising over the water, painting everything in shades of pink and gold. "This is my private terrace," Dante said. "I come here when I need to think, to find clarity. You're welcome to use it whenever you need. Why are you being so kind to me?" Elena asked. "You don't even know me." Dante turned to face her fully. In the morning light, she could see him more clearly. The hint of silver at his temples, the small scar above his left eyebrow, the weight of something unspoken behind his eyes. "Let's just say I understand betrayal," he said quietly. "And I believe that when we witness someone in pain, we have a responsibility to help if we can." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the sun climb higher. Elena felt some of the tightness in her chest begin to ease. Not disappear. The pain was still there, sharp and raw. But ease. "I should go back," she finally said. "Face him. Figure out what happens next. If I may offer suggestion, Dante waited for her nod. Don't make any decisions today. You're in shock. Your emotions are raw. Give yourself time to process before confronting him. Where am I supposed to go? The suite is in his name. Dante pulled out his phone again. Consider handled. I'll have a new suite prepared for you. One of our best. In a different wing entirely. Your belongings will be transferred within the hour. I can't accept that. You can and you will. His tone left no room for argument, but it wasn't harsh. Consider it a courtesy for what you endured at my establishment. No one should have to share a room with someone who's betrayed them. Elena felt tears threatening again, but this time from gratitude. Thank you, Dante. Really, I don't know how to repay you. There's nothing to repay. He handed her his card. Heavy cardstock with simple, elegant printing. My private number is on there. If you need anything at all, call me. The next few hours passed in a blur. Elena was moved to a stunning suite with a private balcony and ocean views even more spectacular than before. Her belongings appeared, carefully unpacked by discreet staff. A note arrived from Dante. Take all the time you need. The suite is yours for the duration of your stay. Extended if necessary. DV. Marcus called 17 times. Elena ignored every call. He sent texts, at first angry, demanding to know where she was, then apologetic, claiming it wasn't what it looked like, finally desperate, begging her to talk to him. She blocked his number. That evening, there was a knock at her door. Elena opened it to find not Marcus, but one of the hotel staff with a cart. Compliment to Mr. Valenti, the woman said, wheeling in a full dinner service, fresh pasta, grilled fish, a bottle of wine, and a selection of desserts. Along with the food was a note in Dante's handwriting. You need to eat. Join me for breakfast tomorrow if you'd like company. DV. Elena did eat, surprised to find she was hungry despite everything. The food was exquisite, and she found herself wondering about the man who'd shown her such kindness. Dante Valenti, owner of this incredible resort. There was something about him, an intensity, a sense of barely contained power, that intrigued her even through her grief. She slept fitfully that night, dreaming of Marcus's betrayal intertwined with images of dark eyes and strong hands offering comfort. The next morning, Elena found herself accepting Dante's breakfast invitation. He met her on his private terrace, where a table had been set with fresh fruit, pastries, and strong Italian coffee. How are you feeling? He asked as she sat down. Like my life has imploded, Elena said honestly, but slightly more capable of dealing with it than yesterday. That's progress. He poured her coffee. Have you decided what you want to do? Go home. File for an annulment. Try to pick up the pieces of my life. She took a sip of coffee. It was perfect, but my flight isn't for 5 more days, and I can't afford to change it. Stay, Dante said simply. Use this time to heal. The suite is yours. There's no charge. I can't let you do that. Elena, he leaned forward, his gaze intense. I insist. What happened to you was terrible, and it happened at my hotel. Let me make it right. There was something in his voice, in his eyes, that made Elena think this was about more than just good customer service. Why does this matter so much to you? Dante was quiet for a moment, looking out at the sea. When he spoke, his voice was measured. 3 years ago, I was engaged. She was beautiful, sophisticated, everything I thought I wanted. We were planning a wedding much like yours, big, expensive, all the right people invited. He paused, and Elena waited, sensing he needed to tell this story. 2 weeks before the wedding, I came home early from a business trip. Found her in our bed with my business partner. They'd been having an affair for months, using my money, my home, laughing about how easy it was to deceive me. His jaw clenched. I called off the wedding, destroyed my partner professionally. But the betrayal, that stays with you. I'm sorry, Elena said softly. That's awful. It taught me something important. Dante met her eyes again. Betrayal reveals character, both the betrayer's and your own. The question is, who do you want to be after this? Elena considered his words. Someone stronger. Someone who doesn't ignore red flags because she wants to believe in fairy tales. Fairy tales are overrated, Dante said with a slight smile. Real life is far more interesting. They talked for hours that morning. Dante told her about growing up in Sicily, about building his business empire from nearly nothing, about the complicated world he navigated. He was careful never to explicitly state what that world was. But Elena wasn't naive. The way staff jumped at his commands, the deference shown to him, the hint of danger that clung to him like expensive cologne. Dante Valenti was more than just a hotel owner. But she also saw his kindness, his intelligence, his dark humor. He made her laugh, actually laugh, for the first time since her world had collapsed. And when he looked at her, she felt seen in a way Marcus had never made her feel. Over the next few days, Elena and Dante fell into a routine. Breakfast on his private terrace. Long walks through the gardens, dinners at small restaurants in nearby villages where Dante was greeted like royalty. He showed her the real Italy, not the tourist version. Hidden beaches, family-owned trattorias, centuries-old churches with frescoes that took her breath away. Marcus tried to see her multiple times. Each time, hotel security turned him away on Dante's orders. The message was clear. Elena was unprotection now. On the third day, Dante took her sailing on his private yacht. Elena had never been on a boat like this. All gleaming wood and polished brass, staffed by a crew who seemed to anticipate Dante's every need. They anchored in a secluded cove, and Dante taught her to dive from the deck into crystalline water. "You're a natural," he said, watching her surface with a delighted laugh. "I grew up in California," Elena said, treading water. "The ocean is in my blood. Tell me about California, about your life before all this." So she did, floating in that perfect water, with the Italian sun warm on her face. Elena told Dante about growing up in San Diego, about her close-knit family, about her job as a graphic designer, about the dreams she put on hold for Marcus. "What dreams?" Dante asked, swimming closer. "I always wanted to travel, to see art in person, not just in books and on screens. Paris, Florence, Barcelona, Prague. I wanted to fill sketchbooks with drawings of all the beautiful things in the world." She smiled sadly. "Marcus said we'd travel after we got settled. But settled kept getting pushed further away. And you let him push your dreams aside. It wasn't a question, and Elena didn't take offense. I did. I thought that's what you do when you love someone. Compromise, be patient, put them first. Love shouldn't require you to make yourself smaller," Dante said. His voice was firm, his eyes intense in a way that made Elena's breath catch. "The right person makes you more, not less." They were close now, treading water face to face. Elena could see droplets caught in Dante's eyelashes, could count the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. The air between them felt charged, electric. "Dante?" She started, but didn't know how to finish. He reached out, gently tucking a wet strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers lingered against her cheek. "I know the timing is terrible. I know you're still processing everything. But I need you to know, from the moment I saw you cry in my garden, something in me shifted." Elena's heart pounded. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that your husband is a fool. I'm saying that these few days with you have reminded me what it feels like to actually connect with someone. I'm saying..." He moved closer, his hand cupping her face. "I'm saying that when you're ready, when you've healed and figured out what you want, I'd very much like to see where this could go." "I'm still married," Elena whispered, though her body was betraying her, leaning into his touch. "I know, which is why this is as far as I'll go until you're not." Dante's thumb traced her cheekbone. "I'm many things, Elena, and not all of them good. But I don't steal what belongs to another man, even if he doesn't deserve it." He pulled back, though she could see it cost him. "Come, let's head back. You must be getting tired." That night, Elena couldn't sleep. She stood on her balcony, watching moonlight play across the water, thinking about Dante's words, about his touch, about the way he made her feel, valued, cherished, seen. She was still married to Marcus, still technically on her honeymoon. This should feel wrong, shouldn't it? Developing feelings for another man mere days after discovering her husband's betrayal? But it didn't feel wrong. It felt like waking up, like stepping out of fog she hadn't realized she was in. Elena pulled out her phone and unblocked Marcus's number. Immediately, messages flooded in, dozens of them, each more desperate than the last. She didn't read them. Instead, she typed out her own message. I want an annulment. I'll be filing paperwork as soon as I'm home. Don't contact me again. She blocked him again before he could respond. Then she called her best friend Sophia back in California, despite the time difference. Elena, oh my God, I've been so worried. Sophia's voice was thick with sleep, but alert. Marcus called me. Said you disappeared, that there was some misunderstanding. He cheated on me, sophomore, on our honeymoon. I caught him with another woman. Sophia unleashed a string of profanities that would have made a sailor blush. That absolute piece of trash. I never liked him. You know, too smooth, too perfect. Are you okay? Do you need me to fly out there? I'm okay, Elena said, and realized it was true. Actually, something unexpected happened. She told Sophia everything. Finding Marcus, running away, meeting Dante, the connection growing between them. Sophia listened without interrupting, which was unusual for her. So let me get this straight, Sophia finally said. You met a gorgeous Italian billionaire who owns a hotel. He's been taking care of you and showing you around Italy, and there's major chemistry between you? Yes, but nothing. Elena, you've been given a second chance. Don't overthink it. Marcus showed you exactly who he is. This Dante guy is showing you who he is too. Pay attention. After they hung up, Elena felt lighter. Sophia was right. She didn't need to have everything figured out. She just needed to be honest about what she was feeling. The next morning at breakfast, Dante seemed distracted. He kept glancing at his phone, his jaw tight. Is everything okay? Elena asked. Dante set down his phone with a sigh. Business complications. Nothing for you to worry about. You can talk to me, you know. I'm not just some damsel you rescued. He smiled at that, but it didn't reach his eyes. The world I operate in, it's complicated. Dangerous. Sometimes. I don't want to expose you to that. I'm tougher than I look. I don't doubt it. Dante reached across the table, taking her hand. But that doesn't mean I want to test it. Before Elena could respond, one of Dante's men appeared on the terrace. A tall, serious-looking man who nodded respectfully to Elena before speaking rapid Italian to Dante. Whatever he said made Dante's expression turn to stone. Excuse me, Dante said, standing. I need to handle something. Stay here. Don't leave the terrace. There was something in his voice, an authority, a hardness, that made Elena realize she was seeing a different side of him. This was Dante Valenti, the businessman, the man who commanded an empire, the man with secrets he kept carefully hidden. He was gone for over an hour. When he returned, there was blood on his knuckles. Elena stood immediately. You're hurt. It's not my blood. Dante's voice was flat, emotionless. He looked at his hands, as if surprised to find them bloody. I should clean up. He started to walk past her, but Elena caught his arm. What happened? Nothing that concerns you. Dante. She moved in front of him, forcing him to meet her eyes. Tell me. Something in his expression cracked. Your husband tried to force his way into your suite. He was drunk, angry, making threats. My men stopped him, but he threw a punch. I handled it. You beat up my husband? I defended what's mine to protect while you're under my roof. Dante's eyes blazed. He had no right to threaten you, to try to intimidate you. No right at all. Elena should have been horrified, should have been shocked by the violence. Instead, she felt safe, protected, cherished. I sent him home, Dante continued. Chartered a flight, had him escorted to the airport. He won't bother you again. Elena stepped closer, taking his hand, the bloodied one. Thank you. You're thanking me for violence? I'm thanking you for protecting me, for caring enough to put yourself in harm's way. She looked up at him, this complicated, dangerous, gentle man. No one's ever done that before. Dante's control finally snapped. He pulled her close, one hand tangling in her hair, the other wrapping around her waist. Do you have any idea what you do to me? His voice was rough, strained. Any idea how hard it's been to keep my distance? Then don't, Elena whispered. Don't keep your distance anymore. You're still married. To a man I've already left. To a marriage that was over before it began. Elena's hands found his chest, feeling his heart thunder beneath her palms. I don't belong to Marcus, Dante. I don't belong to anyone. But if I did... She took a breath, gathering courage. If I did, I think I want to belong to you. Dante's eyes darkened with desire and something deeper, something that looked almost like reverence. Elena, kiss me, she said. Please. I need to feel something real, something true. He kissed her. It wasn't gentle or tentative. It was desperate, consuming, full of all the desire they'd been holding back. Elena melted into him, her body fitting against his like they'd been made for each other. His hands were everywhere, her hair, her face, her waist, pulling her closer, as if he couldn't bear even an inch of space between them. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dante rested his forehead against hers. I've wanted to do that since the moment I saw you. Even though I was crying and probably looked terrible, you were beautiful. You are beautiful. He kissed her again, softer this time. But this is fast, Elena. Too fast, maybe. I don't want you to have regrets. The only thing I regret is wasting 3 years on the wrong man. Elena cupped his face, feeling the scratch of stubble against her palms. I'm not saying I have everything figured out. I don't. But I know what I feel when I'm with you. And I know I don't want to walk away from this without exploring it. I live in Italy. You live in California. Details we can figure out later. She smiled. Right now, I just want to be here with you. Dante pulled her close again, holding her like she was precious. You should know, my life is complicated. My business isn't entirely legal. I have enemies, responsibilities, a world that can be dangerous. If you're with me, you'll be exposed to that. Are you trying to scare me away? I'm trying to be honest. You deserve honesty. Elena thought about that, about Dante's warning, about the implications of what he was saying. She knew what he was telling her without saying it explicitly. Dante wasn't just a businessman. He was connected, powerful in ways that went beyond legitimate enterprises. I appreciate your honesty, she said carefully. And I'm not naive. I've figured out that you're not just a hotel owner. But I also see who you are beyond that, kind, protective, thoughtful. That's the man I'm interested in. Even knowing the rest? Everyone has darkness, Dante. At least you're honest about yours. Marcus hid who he really was until it was too late. She kissed him softly. I'd rather be with someone dangerous and honest than someone safe and deceptive. Something in Dante's expression shifted. Vulnerability, hope, relief all mixed together. You're extraordinary, do you know that? I'm really not. I'm just a woman who finally figured out what she deserves. They spent the rest of the day together, not hiding their connection anymore. Dante showed her his private offices, introduced her to his trusted associates, men who eyed her with curiosity but respect. She met his sister via video call, a sharp-eyed woman named Julia who immediately sized Elena up and apparently approved, because she winked at Dante and said something in Italian that made him smile. That evening, they had dinner at a small family restaurant where Dante was greeted like a beloved son. The owner, an elderly woman named Nana Rosa, brought them dish after dish of homemade pasta, pinching Dante's cheek and exclaiming over Elena in rapid Italian. She says, "You're too pretty for me." Dante translated with a smile, that I better treat you right or she'll beat me with her wooden spoon. I like her already. After dinner, they walked through the old town, hand in hand under lamplight. Musicians played in the piazza, and Dante pulled Elena close, dancing with her guitar music that floated through the warm night air. I don't want this to end, Elena admitted, her head on his chest. I don't want to go back to California and have this all become just a beautiful memory. Then don't. Dante tilted her chin up. Stay longer. Stay as long as you want. Figure out what you want to do with your art, with your career. Let me support you while you do. I can't just accept your money. Not my money. My support, There's a difference. His thumb traced her lower lip. You have talent, dreams you put aside. I have resources and connections. Let me help you achieve what you want. Why would you do that? Because I'm falling for you, Dante said simply. Because in just a few days, you become important to me. Because I want to see you thrive, not just survive. Elena's eyes filled with tears, but happy ones this time. I'm falling for you too. I know it's crazy, but it's not crazy. Sometimes you just know. He kissed her forehead. Stay with me, Elena. Give us a real chance. The next week passed in a blur of happiness Elena hadn't known was possible. She extended her stay, then extended it again. She video called her family, explaining everything. The betrayal, the annulment proceedings, and yes, the new man in her life. Her mother was worried, her father suspicious. But Sophia was thrilled. You're glowing, Sophia said during one of their calls. Literally glowing. I haven't seen you this happy in years. Elena started drawing again, filling sketchbook after sketchbook with images of Italy, of the resort, of Dante. He commissioned her to create artwork for the hotel's new wing, giving her both validation and purpose. She met with Italian artists, visited museums, absorbed everything like someone who'd been starving and finally found sustenance. With Dante, she felt alive. He challenged her intellectually, made her laugh, listened to her dreams and fears. Yes, he was still mysterious about parts of his business, and yes, she sometimes saw the dangerous edge to him, the hardness in his eyes when handling problems, the deference his men showed him that spoke of fear as much as respect. But he was never dangerous with her. With her, he was tender, passionate, devoted. He introduced her to his world slowly, carefully, always giving her the choice to step back if it became too much. One evening, about 3 weeks into her extended stay, Dante took her to his private villa, a stunning property overlooking the sea, with gardens that seemed to go on forever. They had dinner on the terrace as the sun set, painting the sky in impossible colors. I have something to tell you, Dante said, setting down his wine glass. He looked uncharacteristically nervous. Okay. Elena's heart rate picked up. My business, the legitimate parts, the hotels and restaurants and properties, those are real. But you're right that there's more. He took her hand. My family has been involved in certain organizations for generations. I've spent the last decade trying to transition everything to legitimate operations, but some connections, some obligations, they can't be severed easily. You're in the Mafia. Elena said it matter-of-factly, not as a question. Dante's eyebrows rose. You knew. I suspected. The way people treat you, the conversations that stop when I enter rooms, the security that's always around us. She squeezed his hand. I'm not stupid, Dante. I never thought you were. But you're not running away. Should I be? Elena searched his face. Are you going to hurt me? Lie to me? Betray me? Never. I would die before I let anyone hurt you, including myself. Then why would I run? She stood, moving around the table to sit in his lap, her arms around his neck. You've shown me nothing but honesty, respect, and care. You've helped me rebuild my confidence, supported my dreams, made me feel valued. Those are the actions that matter, not whatever business dealings you have. Dante pulled her close, burying his face in her hair. I don't deserve you. Yes, you do. We both deserve happiness. Dante, we both deserve love. He pulled back to look at her, his eyes intense. Is that what this is? Love. Elena's heart thundered, but she didn't hesitate. Yes, I love you. I know it's fast. I know it's unexpected, but I do. I love you. Elena, his voice was rough with emotion. Ti amo. I love you. More than I knew I could love anyone. He kissed her then, deep and passionate, and Elena felt like she was finally, truly home. Not in a place, but with a person. With this complicated, dangerous, wonderful man who'd save her from more than just a bad marriage. He'd save her from a life half-lived. They made love that night in his villa, with moonlight streaming through open windows and the sound of the sea in the distance. It was tender and passionate, fierce and gentle, Everything Elena had never had with Marcus. Dante worshipped her body like she was precious, paying attention to every response, every gasp, every sigh. Afterward, wrapped in his arms, Elena felt peace settle over her. This was what love should be, this connection, this passion, this sense of being seen and valued and cherished. "Come to Sicily with me," Dante murmured into her hair. "I need to visit my family's estate, handle some business. I want you there with me." "Meeting the family already?" Elena teased. "They'll love you." How could they not? Elena had never been to Sicily before, and it took her breath away. The rugged landscape, the ancient towns, the sense of history in every stone. Dante's family estate was a sprawling compound surrounded by olive groves and vineyards, protected by high walls and serious-looking security. His mother, Carmela, was a formidable woman with sharp eyes and elegant bearing. She looked Elena up and down when they arrived, then pulled her into a crushing hug. "Finally, my son brings home a woman worth his time," she said in accented English. Dante's father had passed away years ago, but his sister Julia was there, along with cousins, aunts, uncles, a whole network of family who gathered for a feast that seemed to go on for hours. They welcomed Elena warmly, though she could feel them assessing her, wondering about this American woman who'd captured Dante's attention. "Tell me," Carmela said, sitting beside Elena after dinner, while the men talked business, "what are your intentions with my son?" Elena met the older woman's gaze directly. "I love him. I know that might sound crazy given how we met, but it's true. Love is never crazy when it's real." Carmela patted her hand. "I can see how he looks at you. I haven't seen that light in his eyes since before that terrible woman tried to trap him. You're different. I try to be honest. That's all. Honesty is rare in our world." Carmela's expression grew serious. "You understand what being with Dante means? The life you'd be entering." "I'm beginning to," Elena said carefully. "It's not what I imagined for myself, but neither was ending up heartbroken on my honeymoon. Life doesn't always go according to plan." Carmela laughed at that, a rich, genuine sound. "No, it certainly doesn't. But you seem strong. Smart. Those are good qualities for a Valenti woman." She squeezed Elena's hand. "Welcome to the family, child. Make my son happy, and you'll always have my blessing." That night, lying in Dante's childhood bedroom, which had been updated but still held traces of the boy he'd been, Elena felt the weight of everything settling over her. In just a month, her entire life had transformed. She'd gone from a woman about to start a marriage built on lies to someone considering a future with a man involved in organized crime. It should have terrified her. Maybe it would have a month ago, but she'd learned something important through this whole ordeal. Safety was an illusion. Marcus had seemed safe, stable, predictable, and he'd devastated her. Dante was dangerous, complicated, involved in things she didn't fully understand. And he'd shown her nothing but care, honesty, and devotion. "What are you thinking about?" Dante asked, pulling her closer. "How strange life is. How a month ago I thought I had everything figured out, and now I don't recognize my own life." "Regrets?" "None." She turned to face him in the darkness. "This is probably the craziest thing I've ever done, but it feels right. You feel right." "I want you to stay," Dante said quietly. "Not just for another week or month. I want you to move here, be with me, build a life together." Elena's breath caught. "That's a big ask." "I know. I'm not asking for an answer tonight, but I want you to know where I stand. I want a future with you. Elena, I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to support your art, introduce you to everyone who matters to me, make you officially part of my life. What about my family? My career back home? Bring your family to visit as often as you want. I'll fly them here, put them up in the best accommodations. As for your career, you're talented enough to work from anywhere, and I have connections throughout Europe. I could introduce you to gallery owners, other artists, potential clients." He cupped her face. "I'm not asking you to give up your life. I'm asking you to build a new one here with me." Elena's mind raced. It was insane. She'd known him barely a month. But that month had shown her more truth, more passion, more genuine connection than 3 years with Marcus ever had. "Can I think about it?" she asked. "Not because I'm unsure about you, but because it's a huge decision and I want to make it thoughtfully." "Of course. Take all the time you need." He kissed her forehead. "I'm not going anywhere." Over the next 2 weeks, Elena did think about it. Seriously, deeply. She talked to Sophia, who surprisingly encouraged her. "You spend your whole life playing it safe. Look where that got you. Maybe it's time to take a risk on something that actually makes you happy." She talked to her parents, who were more cautious but ultimately supportive. "We just want you to be happy and safe," her mother said. "If this man makes you happy and treats you well, we'll support you. But please be careful." She talked to Julia, who gave her an insider's perspective. "My brother is a good man, but the life isn't easy. There will be times he can't tell you everything. Times when his business requires things you might not want to know about. But I've never seen him like this with anyone. He loves you completely." Most importantly, Elena talked to herself. She spent hours sketching, walking the resort grounds, sitting on Dante's private terrace, really examining what she wanted. The truth was, she'd spent her 20s making herself smaller, more convenient, more acceptable to Marcus. She'd put her dreams on hold, convinced herself that security and stability were more important than passion and purpose. But security was an illusion, and stability meant nothing without happiness. With Dante, she felt alive. Challenged, seen, he encouraged her art, celebrated her successes, pushed her to be bolder. Yes, his world was complicated and sometimes dangerous, but he'd been nothing but honest about that. He'd never pretended to be something he wasn't. Never asked her to compromise her values. Never made her feel less than. Elena made her decision. She found Dante in his office, reviewing documents with that intense focus she'd come to love. When she walked in, his face immediately softened. "Elena, is everything all right?" "Yes, better than all right." She closed the door behind her. "I've made my decision. About staying." Dante stood immediately, coming around the desk. "And I want to stay. I want to build a life with you here." Elena smiled, feeling the rightness of the decision settle into her bones. "I want to see where this goes, what we can become together. I'm terrified and excited and completely sure that this is what I want." Dante's face transformed, joy, relief, love, all mixing together in an expression so open and vulnerable it took Elena's breath away. He swept her into his arms, lifting her off her feet, spinning her around. "You mean it? You're really staying?" "I'm really staying." Elena laughed, holding on to him. "Although we should probably make it official. I need to go home, pack up my apartment, say proper goodbyes, tie up loose ends. I'll come with you, help you pack, meet your family properly, make sure everything's handled." Dante set her down, but kept his arms around her. "And when we come back, I want you to move into the villa with me. Make it our home, not just mine." "That sounds perfect." They flew to California a week later. Elena was nervous about Dante meeting her family, worried about how they'd react to him, to the intensity of their relationship, to everything it represented. But Dante charmed them almost immediately. He was respectful to her parents, funny with her younger siblings, and won her father over by asking serious questions about his work and actually listening to the answers. "He's nothing like Marcus," her mother whispered to Elena while they did dishes after dinner. "Marcus always seemed like he was performing. This man, Dante, he's genuine. I can see how much he loves you. I love him too, Mom. I know it's fast. Sometimes fast is right. Your father and I knew after 2 weeks." Her mother smiled. "I see how you look at each other. That's real, Elena. Hold on to it." Packing up the apartment she'd shared with Marcus was surreal. Elena boxed up her belongings, donated most of the furniture, and felt nothing but relief as she cleared out that chapter of her life. She'd heard through mutual friends that Marcus was back in the city, already dating someone new. It didn't hurt. If anything, she felt sorry for whoever that woman was. Elena's annulment came through faster than expected. Marcus didn't contest it, probably too embarrassed by how everything had gone down. The day the papers were finalized, Dante took her to dinner at the nicest restaurant in San Diego. "You're officially free," he said, raising his glass. "How does it feel?" "Like I can finally breathe." Elena clinked her glass against his. "Like my life is finally starting for real." "Good." Dante reached into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. Elena's heart stopped. "Before you panic, this isn't what you think. Not yet, anyway." He opened the box to reveal a stunning necklace, a delicate gold chain with a pendant shaped like a key. "In my family, we have a tradition. When someone becomes truly part of our inner circle, we give them a key, a symbol that they're trusted, protected, valued. I want you to have this. As a promise. When you're ready, I'll ask the question that comes with a different kind of ring. But for now, this is my promise that you're mine, I'm yours, and I'll protect what we have with everything I am." Elena's eyes filled with tears. "It's beautiful. You're beautiful. This whole thing is beautiful." Dante fastened the necklace around her throat, his fingers lingering on her skin. "You make me want to be better, to build something that matters beyond just power and money. You make me want to create a legacy that's about more than the family business." "We'll build it together," Elena promised. "Whatever comes, we'll face it together." They returned to Italy a week later, and Elena moved into Dante's villa officially. She converted one of the spare rooms into a studio, filling it with her art supplies, her sketches, her dreams made tangible. Dante introduced her to gallery owners who loved her work, and she began to build a reputation as an artist. Her pieces, vibrant paintings of Italian landscapes mixed with abstract expressions of emotion, started selling. But more than professional success, Elena found happiness. Real, deep, lasting happiness. With Dante, she explored Italy, met interesting people, learned Italian, and slowly became part of his world. She learned when not to ask questions about certain business matters, but she also saw the good Dante did, his charity work, the schools he funded, the communities he supported. Yes, there were hard parts. Times when Dante had to leave suddenly for business, and came back with tension in his shoulders and shadows in his eyes. Times when she saw the violent edge to him, the ruthlessness required by his position. Once, she overheard him on the phone speaking in rapid Italian, his voice cold and threatening in a way that reminded her he was capable of terrible things when necessary. But he was never that way with her. With her, he was tender and passionate, supportive and devoted. He encouraged her dreams, celebrated her successes, held her through doubts and fears. When her art was featured in a gallery show in Florence, Dante bought out half the venue to ensure her opening night was packed with influential people who could help her career. 6 months after Elena had moved to Italy, Dante took her back to his private garden, the place where they'd first met, where she'd been crying and broken and convinced her life was over. "Do you remember this place?" he asked, leading her to the same bench where she'd sat that morning. "I could never forget it. This is where everything changed. This is where I saw you and knew instantly that something important was happening. I just didn't know it yet." Dante took both her hands. "Elena Martinez, you came into my life as a woman fleeing heartbreak, and you become my entire heart. You've shown me what real partnership looks like, what true love means. You make me laugh, you challenge me, you make me want to be worthy of you every single day." He dropped to one knee, and Elena gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. "I know we've only known each other 6 months. I know some people would say it's too fast. But I also know that I want to spend every day for the rest of my life making you happy. Will you marry me? Will you be my wife, not just my partner?" He opened a box to reveal a stunning ring, a sapphire surrounded by diamonds, unique and perfect and so varied. Elena was crying, laughing, nodding all at once. "Yes, yes, of course yes." Dante slipped the ring on her finger, then stood and swept her into his arms, kissing her deeply while Elena's heart soared. This was what love should be, this overwhelming joy, this absolute certainty, this feeling of coming home. "I love you," she said against his lips. "I love you so much. And I love you, always." Dante kissed her again. "Thank you for taking a chance on a broken man in a garden. Thank you for seeing a broken woman and helping her become whole again." They were married 3 months later in a small ceremony at the villa, with Elena's family flown in and Dante's family filling the rest of the seats. Elena wore a dress she designed herself. Simple, elegant, nothing like the over-the-top gown she'd worn to marry Marcus. This dress was her, truly her, and when Dante saw her walking toward him, the love in his eyes made her feel like the most beautiful woman in the world. "You're stunning," he whispered when she reached him. "My wife." "My husband," Elena replied, smiling through happy tears. This time, when they said their vows, Elena meant every word. When Dante slipped the wedding band on her finger, there was no doubt, no hesitation, no nagging feeling that something was wrong. There was only certainty, joy, and love. The reception was a true Italian celebration. Hours of food and wine and dancing, with Nana Rosa crying happy tears and pressing more food on everyone. Elena danced with her father, with Dante's cousins, with Julia, who told her, "You've made him happier than I've ever seen him. Thank you for that." But mostly, Elena danced with Dante. As the sun set over the Tyrrhenian Sea and stars began to appear, he held her close while an Italian love song played, and Elena thought about how strange and wonderful life was. A year ago, she'd been planning a wedding to the wrong man. 6 months ago, she'd been broken and crying in a garden, convinced her life was over. And now she was here, married to a man who loved her completely, building a life that was creative and passionate and full of possibility. "What are you thinking?" Dante asked, swaying with her to the music. "That I'm grateful," Elena said, "for everything that happened, even the painful parts, because they led me here, to you, to this life we're building together. I'm grateful, too," Dante kissed her softly, "for crying women in gardens, for second chances, for you." Elena laughed, kissing him back. "Here's the second chances. And the first loves," Dante added, "because you're both for me, my second chance and my first true love." They stayed on the dance floor long after other guests had drifted away, holding each other under the stars, savoring this perfect moment. Elena knew that challenges would come. They always did. Dante's business would bring complications. Their two worlds would sometimes clash, and life would throw them unexpected curveballs. But she also knew they would face everything together. That's what real partnership meant. Not the absence of problems, but the certainty that whatever came, they'd handle it side by side. A year later, Elena stood in a prestigious gallery in Rome, surrounded by her paintings. The show was titled Transformation, pieces that captured her journey from heartbreak to healing, from loss to love. The centerpiece was a large canvas showing a garden at dawn, with a figure on a bench and another approaching. The moment everything changed. Dante stood beside her, his arm around her waist, as critics and art lovers examined her work. "You're brilliant," he murmured in her ear. "Have I told you that today?" "Only 3 times, Elena teased. "But I never get tired of hearing it." "Good, because I plan to tell you every day for the rest of our lives." A woman approached them, middle-aged, elegant, with a practiced smile. "Your work is extraordinary, Mrs. Valeni. The emotion, the technique, the story behind each piece. Would you be willing to do a series for our gallery in Paris?" Elena's eyes lit up. Paris, one of the cities she'd always dreamed of exploring. She looked at Dante, who smiled and nodded. "I'd love to," Elena said. "Thank you for the opportunity." After the woman walked away, Dante pulled Elena close. "Paris, I suppose we'll need to spend some time there while you work on the series. How terrible for us." Elena laughed. "You're not worried about me getting too independent? Having my own successful career. Why would I worry about the woman I love achieving her dreams? That's what this is all about. Both of us supporting each other, celebrating each other's successes." He kissed her temple. "Your success is my success. Your happiness is my happiness. You know what I want right now?" Elena asked, "What's that?" "To go home. To our villa. Maybe take a midnight swim in the pool, drink wine under the stars, and fall asleep in your arms." "That sounds perfect." Dante took her hand. "Let's go home, Mrs. Valenti." As they left the gallery and stepped into the warm Roman night, Elena reflected on the incredible journey that had brought her here. She'd gone to Italy expecting a honeymoon with the wrong man, and instead found herself, found her purpose, found true love. Sometimes the worst moments of your life set up the best moments. Sometimes heartbreak clears the way for real happiness. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find what actually matters. And sometimes a mafia boss billionaire finds you crying in his garden and changes your entire world. Elena squeezed Dante's hand as they walked to his car, feeling grateful for every twist and turn that led her here. She was exactly where she was supposed to be, with exactly who she was supposed to be with, living the life she'd always deserved but hadn't known to dream of. This was her happily ever after. Not the fairy tale version she once imagined, but something better. Something real, complicated, passionate, and absolutely worth every risk she'd taken to find it. And it was just the beginning.